feel like most of summer was all about being spontaneous and just seeing where the day takes you, being alive and not being too structured and being too strict. Now the days are getting cooler and it's time to lock in. I just don't want to survive and see where the day takes me. I want to be intentional and I want to thrive. And I started thinking about this whenever you notice when you're just like, after summer I'll do this, or by the end of this week I'll do this. When I'm done with this, I'll finally see how it goes, or after this I'll finally do this. That mindset, we have to leave it behind because we don't have to wait for a certain time or a certain situation to be done before we can choose happiness or before we can choose to be intentional, because we can't keep adding days to our life or expecting there will be so many more days into our life. We have to add life to our days, and it's such a beautiful concept to think about. Instead of thinking, I have 100 days left and I'm just going to see where the day takes me or see where it goes, you can say, I have 100 days left. That means I can do so many things with the 100 days that I have, instead of pushing it to the side and waiting till next year. So if you've realized that you've been in this survival mode, instead of trying to thrive and being intentional with adding life to your days, this episode is for you. Hi everyone, welcome back to Inspired Up Podcast, and it's me, your host, Princess. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about mindset shifts that will take you from surviving to thriving, practical tips on doing an end of the year reset, and how to add life to your days. Because yes, we know we should be adding life to our days, but how? And I'll definitely end this episode with affirmations, because everything starts in our mind. Everything starts with how we feel and the things that we think about. So when how we feel and how we think is aligned towards positivity and growth, we will be able to change our reality. Surviving is basically waiting for the year to end, waiting for next month, waiting for next week, waiting for a big break before you finally get things done or before you finally feel satisfied or feel fulfilled. And what this means is that you're not making the best use of your time, because like we all know, the days are not promised, even though that's such a sad reality. But the days are not promised. We can't take the days that we have for granted. We can't say till next week or I'll just do it tomorrow. Also, surviving means that you're not being appreciative of the resources that you have. Because if you can just wait till next week, there are people that don't have the resources to just wait till next week. It is a matter of urgency. And I'm not saying that we should treat our life as urgent, but we should have some sort of appreciation to the things that we have and use our resources wisely. So when you realize that you're taking life for granted, you're not using your resources wisely, you're surviving. But thriving, on the other hand, is making the best out of everything and deciding that every day that you live is going to count one way or the other. You're deciding how you want to spend your life. You're deciding how you want to spend your time. You're being intentional with every single thing, and then you're telling yourself, I'm going to use the few months remaining in this year to my advantage. And the things you tell yourself could be, well, a big chunk of this year is already over. I haven't achieved anything. There's no point in trying now. You can change that survival mindset to, I have 3 months left of this year. If I stay disciplined and if I stay committed to the journey and to the plan, it can really get so good. I could be a different person from the start of the last quarter to the end of the year. You could have a survival mindset by thinking, well, I didn't take this off my list. I didn't take this off my list. And then you feel you didn't grow in any single way this year. So you're just going to keep doing whatever because there's no point. But a thriving mindset will let you see that growth might not always be physical. You can realize that, okay, wait, I healed this year. I'm a different person. The way I do things before isn't how I do my things now. I used to think this way before, but now I don't think this way. I used to be so scared of going out of my comfort zone, but now it's somewhat easier for me to do difficult things. I used to be so scared of rejection, but now I don't really care if I get a no or get rejected by someone. I just know that I would meet acceptance if I keep going. Having a survival mindset can look like, I'm going to go after my goals, but I know it's just going to be super hard, but I just have to push through and make it work. But thriving, you know that yes, your goals are going to be difficult. Nothing comes easily, but you're going to enjoy the process. You're going to romanticize the process. You know that it's not going to be done in a day, so you can't choose to be unhappy all the days of your life while working towards something. If you have a 3-month goal, okay, this is going to take 3 months. Surviving may feel like this is going to be one of the hardest 3 months of my life, but thriving could be, you know what, this is going to be hard, but I'm learning, I'm growing, and I'm going to be a different person at the end of these 3 months. So I really appreciate this opportunity. I really appreciate this challenge. And stepping into a new phase, you always have to ask yourself, how do I want to be? What routines do I need to start in order to get to who I want to be or how I want my life to look? And you can always reflect on your identity. What I try to do is I try to listen to new music because it just changed my mind and it just gives me a nostalgic feeling. I always create a new Pinterest board, even though that seems weird, but I always add pictures that just reflect who I want to be. The Pinterest board I'm working on, I added running, I added like yoga. I also added some dressy type things because I want to create a new fall wardrobe. And I also added being disciplined, like pictures that show discipline, being disciplined with podcasts, for example, and being disciplined with other projects that I'm working on in my life. So you can do those things and you can choose to romanticize it, like make it look cute, make it look pretty, because actually putting in the work isn't really cute. But what this does is that it rewires your brain, because what you see is what you feel. If you can finally see how your life is going to be, you can then imagine how you're going to put in this work. And when you can see it, it makes you feel this is actually achievable. But when you don't even lay it out flat, when there's no vision, it feels like a huge mountain to climb. It feels like this is out of my reach. Why am I even going for this? So create a new persona, create a new vibe for yourself, because no one is forcing you to remain a certain way. If anybody in your life is trying to be like, why are you working towards this, or why are you doing this? Ignore them, because it's your life and you have just one. So you choose how you want this one life to go, how you want this one life that you have to be. And whenever I want to do like an end of the year reset, I always wake up asking myself the right questions. What can I do today that will make the day count, or that will make me one step closer to achieving the goal I want to achieve, or the life that I want to achieve? What is one thing that I don't want to do today because it keeps pulling me back and it keeps me stagnant? And the next one is how can I structure my day that will make it easier for me to achieve what I want to achieve, and that will make it more enjoyable? So starting your day with this question, it makes you more intentional about your day. And another tip is to write your to-do list or review your to-do list before you go to bed, because when you sleep, it's like your brain, your subconscious mind has taken up this information and it knows what to do the following day. So when you wake up, you're waking up with intention. You're waking up with that mindset that this is what I have to do. But when you wake up without a plan in mind, it's easy for you to just, go on your phone, scroll for hours. So if you see yourself struggling with getting out of bed or with waking up early, always have a structured plan the day before. And the last tip is to not treat your goals as options. It's not optional to show up for yourself. It is a must, it's a necessity. If your goal is to go to the gym 3 times a week, it's not an option. When the time comes, don't say, do I feel like going? Or don't check in with yourself if you feel like going or if you don't feel like going. You're going. It's not an option. And it's really hard for us to be the master and the slave in our lives. So this concept where it's like you have someone in your life telling you what to do, and it's easy to do it, but when it's just you telling yourself what to do, it's super hard. And I know it's super hard, but when you stop treating your goals as an option, when you don't think it's either you do it or you don't, you just need to have a full-on mindset, the mindset that I'm going to do this no matter what. And you can easily just start with 1 or 2 things in your life where is a must, this is a non-negotiable, and it's going to spill into other aspects of your life. Because I realized that having a master in your life, or having a boss, or having someone in control, you're giving the power to that person because you respect that person, so you're going to obey with their demands and with what they require from you. You also have to sit down and think, why don't I follow through with the plans that I set for myself? Why am I treating my goals and my plans as options? It's because you don't respect yourself. And how can you build that self-respect? How can you build that environment or that reality where you set a goal and you do it? It's a muscle. Everything is a muscle. With time, with your conscious effort of trying and trying again, it's going to become more easy. Trust me, that's the only way. There's no trick, there's no tip on this is how to respect yourself more, or this is how to become much more confident. Because anytime you want to fall back, you tell yourself, you know what, I'm working towards respecting myself more, and I know that this is a chance to prove to myself that I respect myself, so I'm going to keep with the plan. I'm going to follow through with the plan, because if I don't, then I'm moving one step backward. Because don't think that you're in a state of zero or that you're stagnant. You're either moving forward or you're moving backward. If you keep cancelling plans on yourself, you're taking one step back, and if you stay through with these plans, you're moving one step forward. And all this is super difficult, trying to build a new habit for yourself. So the best way possible is to romanticize it. How can you romanticize the struggle? How can you romanticize building this muscle of discipline and commitment and resilience? So you can start a new hobby, which can be watching your comfort shows, for example. So just tell yourself, when I'm done with this task, then I'll watch my comfort show. Don't wake up in the morning and then you're reaching for your comfort show. It all makes sense because you acknowledge that you did something difficult today, and then you feel happier for following through with that difficult thing. But when you don't even reward yourself, your brain could easily just forget about it and look forward to tomorrow and you just keep it moving. But slow down, take a break, and reward yourself. It's going to make putting in the effort easier and much more enjoyable. And another thing is to have something to look forward to every single morning. And this is where morning routines really come in handy. Do things in the morning that are super enjoyable to you, whether that's going for a morning walk or drinking tea. Personally, mine is drinking tea, even if I'm trying to incorporate going on morning walks. But getting that dopamine hit in the morning, which is not coming from your phone or from social media, is super important. So have one thing that you would look forward to in the morning, not just waking up and saying I have to lock in and then you're just locking in. Having like a 30-minute morning routine, I don't think it's going to jeopardize your plan of locking in. It can actually even help you to have a more stabilized morning / afternoon / evening period to work on your goals. And the next way to romanticize your days is to practice self-care that isn't skincare, or that is not only limited to skincare. Because anytime we hear self-care, we're thinking of masks, we're thinking of body scrubs, we're thinking of having everything showers. But yes, those are very good, but let's not just limit our self-care to those things. We can exercise, we can learn new recipes, learn healthy recipes. That's what I'm currently doing. Reduce screen time. Have few hours in the day where you're just stepping away from your phones. Read on Substack. I've gotten back into Substack reading, not writing yet, but I've gotten into reading on Substack, and it's so fun seeing just people's minds, and it's like having a peep into people's minds and how they think and how they process information, which is something I really like. Anything that moves you towards your goal, that doesn't necessarily means putting in the work. Sleeping early and waking up early is self-care. Creating your night routine is self-care. You don't have to limit yourself. There are endless ways you can take care of yourself. And always be intentional. Stop with the whatever will be mindset. You can have this mindset as a way to protect yourself and not to force control over things. But to be intentional doesn't mean to force control over things that are out of your control. There are things that are within your control, and you can choose to be intentional about those things without feeling whatever will be. And always think of habits you want to stop and habits you want to start. If you're not completely honest with yourself about the habits that you want to stop, trust me, you're going to repeat those habits again and again and again, no matter the time of the year, whether it's New Year or end of the year. So write down habits that you know, this doesn't help me, this doesn't move me towards my goal, this doesn't make me feel good about myself, this doesn't make me feel productive, this doesn't make me feel fulfilled. Write those things down and look at it and be like, okay, I'm going to stop this. And then write down habits that you want to start. A few days ago, I was journaling and I wrote down dopamine sources. So instead of scrolling on my phone, I wrote down a list of things that I can do instead. And anytime I'm so bored and I just want to scroll on my phone, I think, oh wait, I have a dopamine list, and I go there and I do those things instead. And it has gradually helped me to reduce my screen time. Even if I may be reading a book on my laptop, which is still another screen, but I feel much better reading a book than scrolling on my phone. And I'm going to wrap up this episode with the affirmations that I promised at the beginning. And my favorite affirmation is, I'm going to make a very beautiful life for myself, no matter what it takes. No matter if it's end of the year now and I feel so discouraged because I didn't do as much as I want to do, I'm still going to make a beautiful life for myself. I'm not going to let the fact that a big chunk of the year is over and I don't feel as fulfilled as I want to feel, don't let that stop you. And the next one is, I'm adding life to my days, not just days to my life. Instead of thinking I have till next week, or I have till next month, or I have till next year, don't just keep adding more days and more days. What are you doing with these days? Add life, add enjoyable things in those days. Add things you can look back on and be like, wow, good old days. Don't just look back on and it's just empty. You just have memories of you bedrotting and funny TikToks that you watch. And the last one, which I always try to remind myself, is that it's never too late. Now is the best time. You may be thinking, well, it's the end of the year, let me just wait till next year. But it's never too late. Now is the next best time. Because it would have been better if you locked in January or even May or even June. But it's October and you're still trying to lock in. It's the next best time, really. You're never going to have October 2025 to lock in. And by January or by next year October, you're going to be happy that you locked in last year October. This is the end of this episode. If you enjoyed it, leave a comment or like the video so I know you really enjoyed it. And I'll see you in my next week's episode.